Well, that was quite a workout. But yes, good morning. So today I am starting my bridge build. So 2 weeks ago I had a bit of fun and I took the old bridge out that was starting to fail. Since then I've not done a lot. I've managed to redo some concrete at this end, so I've got something substantial to build off of on this end. And I have repaired some of the leaks in the weir on the side over there. Main thing that's delayed us is we were waiting for that tree to come down, which they did yesterday, and it went down with a thud. Fortunately it doesn't seem to have done any damage, so that is good. Okay, so the plan for today is to get the main structure of the bridge in. So it's going to start for the concrete pad on that side, and it's going to go flat across the water, and then there's going to be a beam above the wall on that side for the other end of it, and then from there it's going to slope down until it meets up with the path on the far bank there. So it is a little bit of a make it up as you go along job. I had initially planned everything out and worked out everything I needed, but unfortunately the timbers that they sent weren't quite the same size as I'd worked on. So things like the deck boards were 4.8 metres that I'd worked on, they sent 4.5 metres. So that means now that rather than the bridge being 1 metre 20 wide, it's 1 metre 12 wide, which isn't a big deal. For wheelchairs you need 90 centimetre access, so that will still give us a metre access, so plenty wide enough for wheelchairs. So yeah, let's make a start. Right, so we're starting from the concrete pad that I put in here, and I've already hit a problem, which isn't great. So I'm changing the design of the bridge slightly from the original. So the original one had 3 beams going underneath, and it always felt a little bit spongy. So I've decided to put 4 beams underneath. I've checked the calculations, the beams are fine, and to have 3 would be fine, so to have 4, even better. Problem is, that means that beams have changed their location. So this concrete pad is at the same height that the previous bridge went on to. I've just dug down 2 inches and then put a layer of concrete. So the initial beam would have been on that side and went over that rock. It then went here and went over this rock, and then it went here and went between these 2 rocks. And I've added that. Problem is, the new beams, I think one of them is going to fall and hit this rock, and one of them is going to fall and hit either this rock or this rock. But that's not a problem, I've got a plan for solving that. Right, well they cut easily and didn't make as much mess as I was expecting, which is good. So I reckon I'm now ready to put some wood in. So plan is I'm going to put a plastic liner down over this concrete so the wood's not touching the concrete. So hopefully it shouldn't wick up the water from the bottom and rot that way. Now I've put the H section in over there as a temporary. That's what the previous bridge was sat on. Now I'm actually surprised it was never fixed in place. So I have got some little steel feet to bolt it down this time, but I'm going to just use that as a temporary, because I don't actually know where to bolt the new feet down to without getting a beam in there to see. So right, let's get a beam in. Right, well I got a little excited there and put the beams in without putting the plastic down first. But that shouldn't be a problem. I think I can work the plastic in underneath it. But I've gone through, I've done what's known as crowning on the beams. So basically you look down the length of the beam, and if there's a bow to it, you make sure the bow goes upwards rather than downwards. So they're all now the right way. I've also put some plastic spacers on the bottom of them, so if there's any water builds up on the plastic sheet, they won't be sat in a puddle, they'll be raised up slightly. I've also cut a plank for the end of this to size, so I can now secure the beams to each other and secure them at the right distance on this end, and then we can look at the other end. So I'm pretty sure that stand at the other end is going to fall over while I'm doing this, so it might not go to plan, but let's see how we get on. Yep, didn't go to plan at all. Right, back in place, let's try again. Right, so that's this end roughly in place, plastic underneath it. Now all I've got to do is look at that end. Right, so I'm down at this end. Unfortunately our support did fall out, which is a pain because I've got to try and get it back up onto that now. Now it would be easier to screw them all together so that they move as one, but I don't want to screw them together until I know what length to cut them to. And I don't know what length to cut them to until I've got the new legs in. And I can't get the new legs in until I've got this up on the old support. So it's going to be tricky. We'll see what we can do. Okay, well that was easier than I thought. Right, so I've just made sure it's all square using the 3-4-5 method. So I've gone to the far end there, measured 3 feet across at the end, 4 feet up on the length of it, and then I've gone across on diagonal and made sure that dimension is 5 feet long, and that just makes sure that is a perfect 90-degree angle in that corner. Surprisingly, this beam was in the right place. I've then lined the other 3 up off of that one beam, so that's now square and in the right place. So I'm now just measuring down 4.5 metres, because it's 4.5 metres that they set the handrails in as well, rather than the 4.8 that I wanted. And then we can work out where the support is going to go and where the beams are going to be cut. Okay, so that's the new support in place. I've only tacked it together with a couple of screws for now. I will go through and put bolts through, but I want to, 1, cut these to length, and 2, put another beam on the other side and bolt all the way through. So now I know where everything lies. I've marked it all up, so let's get cutting. Okay, well that is the bridge taking shape. It's now on its proper support there. So that's all nice and square as well. Now this isn't finished, I mean obviously not finished, but as a framework not finished, because I need to put noggins in between the beams, which are just little bits of wood. Basically it's to stop the wobble from the beam like that, and also to stop them twisting halfway along. But I need to work out where the handrails are going to land on this before I put those in, because I don't want the, to try and put the bolts through and then find there's a noggin in the way. So I'll be doing that in a minute. This is taking far longer than I thought, so I'm going to go and have some lunch, and then after lunch I'm going to look at the section that comes across to here. So yeah, we're getting there. It's starting to look like a bridge. Okay, so I'm back for lunch and I've done a little bit more. Unfortunately I'm not recording everything because it's so bitty that I'll have like hours of footage and nothing to really show for it. So yeah, I've cut another piece of wood for this side, same as the other side, and temporarily fixed that on. So that is what this will sit onto. I've also put a couple of screws in, so those posts are now fixed to the weir there. They don't need to be fixed down. The previous one wasn't, but I just feel happy with them being fixed down. I've also made a start on this end here. So the previous bridge dived off into the floor here, and they poured this concrete up to the end of it. So I've taken that concrete and I've dug it down and put these slabs on top of it. So that's raised the bridge up by the height of the beam already, and it's made it that little bit longer as well. So now the bridge is going to end about here, and I'm going to have to bring some material in just to build that slope back up to the end of it. But that means that this is a much gentler slope and not so slippery when you're walking down it. So now all I've got to do is, as I've actually got that angle there, cut this to the correct angle, cut the other end to the correct angle, cut it to length, and work on the next 4 boards. Right, I'm getting worn out. Okay, well, it's taking a bit of working out because the end of the board isn't sat on the level I want, because it's still sat on the soil level there. It's higher than the slab. So I've double checked here, and where I want the bridge to end, which is roughly here, that is roughly that block of wood's depth. So what I've done, so I've raised this end up with a block of wood, so I can now use another block of wood against the side here, draw up the side of that, and that straight line there is the angle that I'm cutting the end of this board at. And then I can use this offcut as a template for the other end of the board, because obviously I want the very end of the board to be vertical as well. And then once I've cut that one, I can use that as a template for a second board. And then the 2 boards that go in the middle, obviously they're shorter by this depth on both ends, so I'll just have to make sure I adjust for that as well. So yeah, let's start cutting. Okay, well that's the framework for this end done. So I still need to put the plastic under here, but I wanted to show you that it's actually landed right in the middle of the slabs, well, on the largest part of the slabs there. So that should spread the weight nice and evenly. So I remembered as I was cutting that the 2 in the middle wanted to be shorter, so everything's been cut to the right length, which was excellent. So it's just a case of simply screwing it, and it's 2 screws in. I think I'm using 6-inch screws, but they seem to be plenty long enough. And then when we come down to this end here, I've actually put an extra screw through from here, going diagonally across into here. So that beam is screwed to this, and this beam is screwed to that. So there's no chance of them separating, and I've done the same at the other end there. And then obviously these beams here, they're screwed from behind, but if that connection should fail, this beam is resting on that, so it's always supported. And that's the same on the other side. So everything's got a secondary layer of support. So all I've got to do now is put the noggins in and get the handrails on, and then I can start putting the deck on. Yeah, simple as that. Right, well my aim for today was to get it so the handrail uprights were in, really. So I need to work out where they're going to go and get these noggins in. Right, well unfortunately I've run out of time for today, so I haven't been able to get the noggins in. To be honest, I've spent far too long trying to work out what to do with these stupid handrails. So unfortunately, because of the fact that the timber was the wrong size and I've shortened things to make things work, I've had to reduce the distance between the handrails on here. So the first handrail post goes there, and got nice even spacing all the way across to the other side. Now if I use the same handrail spacing on this side, that means that the last post comes there, and I really wanted it sort of there. So I've got two options. Option one is I shift this over one space and I shift that over two spaces, and that will get the last one where I need it. The only different problem with that is these handrails are going to be different spacing to those handrails, and I think it's going to notice and look weird. So the other option is, I think I got a spare set of handrail posts in there. I'm sure I ordered a spare set just in case one got damaged. So like I've got a set of posts there, I want to put a post there. So that is then going to mean that it's a bridge and another bridge attached. I was hoping to have the handrail flow all the way across, but then that would shift both of these up to the right position. I'm thinking that's going to be the best thing to do, but I've got to go and double check everything. But like I say, I have run out of time anyway, because it is the end of the day and I need to go home and have some sleep, because this wood is really rather heavy. So I'm thinking I'll end this video here and I'll do the handrails as a second video. Yeah. So like I said, it is the end of the day and I am incredibly worn out, and I do need to go home and have some rest, because moving these timbers, they are incredibly heavy. So I'm going to end this video here as day one, and I'm going to pick this up as day two in a new video, where I'm hoping to finish it. So it's not a lot I've got left. It's put the noggins in, put the handrails on, put the decking on, build up the gravel here at the end. You never know, I might do it. So yeah, do join me for day two whenever that video comes out, and I shall see you later.